Okay, so we're looking at assignment 4, and it's an audio recording, and it's based on the energy systems. Okay, so the first bit is you'll have to create an audio report which provides information on the 3 energy systems. The bit before that that's missing really is you need to be able to describe and explain the breakdown of ATP to ADP. Once you've done that breakdown and you've explained that in detail, you then need to go on to do the 3 energy systems. And the 3 energy systems are the phosphocreatine or creatine phosphate system, whichever pronunciation you use, the lactic acid system, and the aerobic system. And within those 3 systems, you must be able to provide a description of how each system creates energy. You should be able to look at or be able to tell me how many ATP the system produces. You should be able to tell me that the amount of recovery time required for each system, and you should be able to state which sport is suitable for the system. Now, to get your merit, you should be able to explain the system in more detail. So you explain the breakdown of the phosphocreatine system, and you explain why a sport is suitable. So you give a reason why that sport's suitable, or a number of activities and why they're suitable for that system. You then, for your analysis, go on and you look at how the energy systems work in conjunction in 3 different worked examples, and I'll go through that in a minute. So just to give you context of what the expectation is for the pass and the merit, I shall show you now. So if we come back to here, your pass and your merit really, if you remember doing this in class, is based on this worksheet. So this here tells you about ATP and how it breaks down to ADP, and you should be able to make some notes on that to help you with your discussion. The creatine phosphate system, how it functions, the breakdown of it, how it produces energy, how many ATP, it tells you everything you need to know here, so you need to get your notes on this. The same with the lactic acid system, and the same with the aerobic system. The only bit I would advise you add in a bit more detail to is that which sport is suitable, and give me a scientific reason why. So for instance, the powerlifting or weightlifting is suitable for the phosphocreatine system because it's stored within the muscles and it's an instant supply of energy, so you can use it immediately. And also, that only provides explosive energy, which is relevant to the activity, but it only provides it for a short period of time, which weightlifting only lasts that short period of time. So you give me the reasons why. Okay, and you do the same for the lactic acid system and think about a sport that's suitable, so 400 or 800 meters, and the aerobic system. And you could talk about, you could even talk about football and where it'd be appropriate. Actually, lactic acid system would be appropriate in football. You could talk about the aerobic system, marathons, but again, you could talk about the relevance to it in football or rugby or whatever you like. Once you've done that, that's kind of your pass and your merit done. You've had that discussion there. Is to move on to your distinction. So how do we do our distinction? So here I provided an example of the distinction, but it's only part of the example. So what I do is I get 3 different athletes and I think about where they use the different energy systems and why they use it and why it's appropriate. So here I've talked about Andy Murray would require ATP and the creatine phosphate systems to create speed and power when serving. And then I've put these systems are highly effective when serving because they create instant energy, enabling Murray to produce maximum power. This would result in him being able to serve at 130 miles an hour at the beginning of each point. The creatine phosphate has sufficient recovery time between points so the system can replenish the energy in time for the start of the next point. Okay, so it's saying that actually Murray's serve should be pretty much at its maximum at the beginning of most points because the system has had time to recover. Then I've put, however, a disadvantage. So I've talked about the advantages of the system in relation to Murray, but I've also talked about a disadvantage. However, disadvantage of the phosphocreatine system for Murray is that the breakdown of creatine phosphate only produces 1 ATP, which means that there's a limited amount of energy. This could impact Murray if he had a long point or limited time to recover between points, and that meant that would result in his system not recovering fully, and the next point he might be fatigued when he makes his next serve. So there's a negative to it, and that his serve might be not the most powerful and could result in him losing the point. Okay, what I then do is I go on and explain how the lactic acid system is used and how it's relevant to Murray, talk about the advantages of the lactic acid system in relation to Murray and tennis and his performance, talk about the lactic acid system and the disadvantages of it in relation to Murray and his performance. And then I go on and do the aerobic system and talk about the advantages of the aerobic system and uh, and the disadvantage of the aerobic system in relation to Tennis and Murray's performance. Once I've done that, I then pick a contrasting athlete. So Usain Bolt, very different. And again, I talk about the three energy systems, how Usain Bolt uses the three different energy systems, where he specifically uses them, and the advantages of each energy system to him and his sport. And then finally, the last one, which is another contrasting athlete, which is Mo Farah, talk about the three energy systems, how they're appropriate to Mo, and the advantages and disadvantages of them in relation to his performance, but constantly bring it back to that scientific point. So here again, the scientific point I made was that only produces one ATP, which is a limited amount of energy. So I bring back that scientific element to it. Okay, and that's how you do your distinction. Again, the distinction needs to be verbalized. You've got 20-minute slots. All the slots are placed on Moodle, so you can see a picture of the times. Please have a look through and familiarise yourself with the times, and we'll see where we go from there. I will be able to give you a grade on the day to tell you where you're at, and that should finalise the grade for assignment 4. Okay, hope this is of help, and I shall see you during your discussion.